Good morning, junior paleontologists. Glad to have you back here on this Thursday. We told you that we were going to have a special guest with us, and we finished our junior paleontology sheets on Tuesday, and now we are going to talk through a little bit about exhibit construction. Doesn't that sound like fun? So we hope you're going to have a great time with this. We have Melanie with us. Melanie came over from Billings once they released the stay-at-home order. Boom, she was on the road and she was out the door. So we are getting a new exhibit ready for people for this year. And we're going to have her just talk through a little bit of the approach of exhibit design and some of the different materials that she uses. And we just want to take you along for the journey. So welcome. We're glad you're here with us. Well, Melanie, you drove up here today. Are you glad to be out of your house?
Yes, so much.
All right.
I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. You were able to do a lot at home, but there's a lot that you can't do.
Right.
And
I usually make big things like this at home, and then they get transported here, like the snake that I just brought that's going to be going here. It's Titan boa, and we're in a little tiny space for really big animals, so it's kind of tough. I've got about 6 or 7 feet of Titan boa to put up here. Titan boa is actually 45 feet long, so it's the snake is really big around, and so to squeeze it in here, what I'm going to end up having to do is have part of its body go out over the edge of this a little to give us some space. And then the rest of his body is going to blend into the background here like it just kept going for another 40 feet. So
what is our, this exhibit it's kind of one exhibit with a lot of different animals. Sorry for the shaky screen here.
That's what happens when you gesture.
That's right. I know. I'm not used to talking without my hands, so it's really difficult. But this exhibit has kind of a theme going, and can you talk about that theme a little bit and maybe highlight some of the animals that are in this to show that?
Yeah, it's funny because it's a very tiny area of the museum, but we're talking about how some things got really gigantic. And so we have a giant dragonfly with a real long wingspan that is actually fossil accurate for the wingspan.
I think they found him, 2 feet?
Yeah, something like that. 2 feet or over wingspan. We've got a skull of a giant salamander here that this skin-on version is a version of that.
And it has a different name technically, but a lot of times what we discover about names is it's to give more credence to the evolutionary idea that things changed over time dramatically, and so they'll oftentimes give different names to creatures that are found in the fossil record. Yeah. So it really fits just a really large overgrown salamander, but as you can see the name, if you can kind of see that, Metaposaurus is what it's called, its technical name. So that's a pretty cool creature. Yeah,
and sometimes they just name it after the person who wants the notoriety because they found it, which is understandable, but it's still similar to what is today. And then this Arthropleura, you can kind of see its tail end, and then its head is way up here, and it's basically a giant centipede.
Do you know how long that is? I was just thinking about that.
I'm trying to remember how long it is, but I can't really remember, but they have found the fossil of it. So,
and you can see it in comparison to Melanie there.
Yeah, it's a biggie. It's a big guy.
I don't like the little ones crawling on me.
And they can bite and sting, and it hurts. So I'm glad there were things that maybe could eat it back then.
All right.
So we're squeezing all these great big things into a very tiny area, just to give you a little quick glimpse.
And and again, the idea that things were larger pre-flood, we talked about in our tours already, and that's really what we're trying to illustrate in one exhibit. We have it in other places with the turtle and some of those things as well, but this is one where we've highlighted some of this. So one of the things that makes us unique as a museum, in my estimation, is the fact that our exhibits are not just black walls highlighting the fossils. their habitats. It's almost like a zoo. Fortunately, these things aren't running around, but it's nice to have kind of the habitat idea. And can you talk a little bit about how you've incorporated certain things to create this habitat?
Sure. We try and use as many things as we can that are natural. So I have a lot of grasses and things that we actually have either gotten locally or like I'll clip them from the front of my house, and sometimes we spray them back to being green, and sometimes we leave them naturally golden. We have a lot of small little things that we've purchased. Some things like these little birch trees are actually hollow cardboard tubes that we had our lights in.
Okay.
That are painted, and then I try and paint the background so that it kind of blends away. Some of the things like, I can't remember, what are the trees that are in the swamps right now? They put out roots in odd directions.
Oh, yeah, there's
their
like...
name escapes me
there's
suddenly.
Cypress, I can't remember what those particular ones are called.
We'll
We don't live in the South, so I don't have to know what they are.
But what I did was take some of these purchased trees, and then I wrapped foam tubing around them and painted them so they looked like they had these roots that came out and are tapping down into the swamp back here. Unfortunately, some of this is being moved right now because we've got to make room for the snake to blend in. So I'm shifting a lot of this out, and then we'll figure out how to reincorporate as much as possible back in so that we can keep that swampy feel going on.
One thing Melanie's really done a great job with is hiding things that in most places you see it and you're like, oh, that's ugly because it's like a pipe. And let me show you, for example. So look at these two things. You see what looks like birch trees, two birch trees. The one on your left is actually, look at that. It's a pipe. It's just a sewer pipe. And it's really neat to have stuff like that kind of hidden. Let me give you another example. I'm going to pan over here, and I'm going to step up here. You see this big tree right here? That's right in the middle of our landing with the bear in it. There's the bear and some other things. That is the center pole, the center support for the entire museum. You don't have that support, the entire thing falls down. So this is something that's been made into a tree. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how you disguised those poles to make them look like trees?
I think every pole in the building is a tree now.
Okay.
And they have different cardboard tube called sonotube that is encased. And then in this case, I used fabric, like old sheets and things.
Okay.
Locally, some of the used stores, we bought some sheets, we glued the sheets on and then painted them or cut them in strips. In the case of the palm trees, we cut them in strips and wound them around so that it would have as natural a feel, less industrial, and you feel like you're kind of moving through a forest in a way and introduced into different environments. So they're all done using as little of the museum funds as possible. And still, they have natural branches. Yeah. All of them have real branches.
Yeah, and you can see, let me kind of scan over to this one over here so you can see that tree going up to the top and see it just turns into a support beam right there at the top. And I think there's some where it's like more like a palm tree. I think
there's two palm trees.
I can maybe show you that a little bit later instead of making you dizzy spinning the camera around.
For me, I want the museum to be able to use their funds to purchase real bone or to excavate real bone. And so I try and do any of the skin on or the trees or the environments using as little of that funding as possible so that
and it reuses it's recycling basically too, which is really something that
all of the branches and all of the wood around here comes from local places, local ranches, whatever we can find along the road. We try and be real creative and not impact things as much as possible.
Because God called us to be good stewards of his
Yes.
creation. And so we want people to understand that a lot of times people that believe the Bible just think it's okay to destroy the earth or whatever. And it's not true at all.
No,
The Bible
and-
makes it very
and
clear
why
it's just to take care of
Why
it.
buy a plastic tree?
That's
We can
right.
go out and get a tree. A lot of what we use too are old Christmas trees from secondhand stores where people are getting rid of them. Well, we want to be able to use those wisely. So we take the branches and we attach them onto regular dead branches that we find alongside
Yeah.
the roadways and things and make them into trees. And that way we've utilized that and not had any more impact.
That's right. That's great. So we're going to go ahead and let Melanie get back to work. We're going to crack the whip, and she's excited anyway to get back to work. And we will check back in with Melanie a little bit later when the snake's up here, and I think we have a frog too.
Yes.
Yeah, that we're putting in too. So that's going to be fun. And we will check back in with Melanie at that point and kind of give you an idea of the process. So join us back here again, and we will check into that.
All right.
Well, welcome back. We are finishing up the exhibit with the Titan boa and the Beelzebub frog and some other things that have been done in this exhibit. So let's kind of swing around here and let's chat with Melanie as she kind of wraps this up. Okay, well, Melanie, we're back with you. You've made some progress, it looks like.
Yep, it's
So,
pretty much done here.
Yeah, tell us what we got going here about the snake just a little bit.
Well, it's the Titan boa. Titan because it was huge.
Yeah, massive, yeah.
Massive. Dinosaur crocodile swallowing boa constrictor. The skull seems to indicate it might have been a water-dwelling one because its nostrils and its eyes are so high up, but we don't know for sure about that. But we've got it in place. We've got the trees back. We've got a few little peekaboo bugs for kids to find if they're wanting to spend time looking. And did a little quick rearranging, and we're...
Yep, so now we kind of, just to kind of break up the lines a little bit, the salamander is at a little bit different angle now, and that is we have the original skull, the fossilized skull, and then the model that is based on that skull. So that's what we got going on here. And then if we kind of come around the corner, we have the Beelzebub frog. That's pretty amazing. It's massive for a frog. I don't think I'd be messing with it too much. I was reading one article that said it could possibly crush dinosaurs. So pretty amazing, little dinosaurs. And in its mouth, what's in its mouth, Melanie?
It's a type of flying reptile. I don't remember the technical name right now.
Okay, so it has a flying reptile out of its mouth. Pretty cool.
You can see the tail and feet
Yeah.
sticking out.
All right. Well, that's going to kind of wrap up what we're going to do today. We are so thankful to have Melanie working with us here at the museum and all of the amazing artwork and the habitats and everything else that goes along with that. And she's put a lot of time and energy into this, and we're just thankful to have her with us today to finish this exhibit up and into the future as well. So we want to thank you for joining us today, and come see us this summer. We'll be open on Tuesday through Saturday starting May 5th. So join us and come see if you can find all the snakes and everything else now that there's an added snake right over there, and you can come and see if you can count those and fill out your junior paleontology sheet. If you did that with us throughout these last several weeks, make sure you send it to us send it to FACT, P.O. Box 684, Glendive, Montana 59330. And you can also scan it in and email it to me. Email robert@creationtruth.org. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at the museum.